This is Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, words on leadership, goal setting, productivity, and a whole lot more. I hope that you will consider this like your vitamin or mineral and supplement for your heart and life today. If you haven't subscribed yet to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, would you please go to wherever it is that you are listening to podcasts and subscribe to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom. We really appreciate having you here with us today. I want to talk about that feeling that all of us get from time to time, the feeling of being stuck. Have you ever been stuck? Have you ever been in that spot where you just don't seem to be able to make any progress or move forward? I want to talk about 9 things that you can do. You don't need to do all 9 of them, but 9 things you can do whenever you're feeling stuck. There are times where we're just in situations in our life or where we work or anywhere in life where we just sort of think, I can't make progress. It's like walking on quicksand. How am I going to move forward? The first of the 9 things that you might try any one of these is, have you just kind of gotten alone and asked yourself just a real simple question? Why am I feeling this way? Sometimes our feelings betray what's really going on and what's really transpiring in our lives. And you're able to ask, is there an emotional reason? Are things just really not working very well? Am I not making progress? Why do I feel like I'm stuck? And you have to get away and perhaps, if you're someone who is in a journal or in a book, just sort of write down, here's how I'm feeling and here's why I'm feeling. And you'll be able to reflect on it to see, is it just a way that I'm feeling, or is it really the way that it is? The second thing that I would say, a second item that you should try whenever you're feeling stuck, and that is solitude. I've just done a podcast on solitude. It was a week ago tonight that I heard Dr. David Busick when he spoke to our pastors and spouses about Sabbath and solitude and silence. We were made for rest. I think there are even some people who think they need to stay up late and get up early because somehow the need for sleep to them appears to be a design flaw from the Creator. And it's not a design flaw. We need time of restoration and rest and recovery. And sometimes we're feeling stuck just simply because it's a noisy, clamorous world. Most of us have more on our plates than we even know how to attend to. And so maybe you just need to find a time out for yourself, a positive time out, by the way, where you're just sort of quiet. We don't like quiet much. You go into any home in our part of the world and there's a television or radio running at all times. When we're in the car, and I listen to Audible and podcasts in my car, but every once in a while it's good to be alone with your thoughts and to have some solitude, silence, and quiet. And if you're going to practice some times of solitude and reflection, you're either going to have to get up earlier than everyone else in your home, or you're going to have to make a concerted effort to get alone, to be quiet. But I don't know of anything that helps me to get unstuck, or at least the feeling of being stuck and not making progress, more than getting quiet and silence and taking care of ourselves. This falls in the entire category of self-care. But take some time for yourself. Take some time, quiet your heart and mind, and then just listen to the still small voice that's saying to you, this are some things that you need to do. The third thing that I would say, a third thing that you might try whenever you're having those feelings of being stuck, is simply this. Do I need to unplug from technology? I've already mentioned that we live in such a noisy culture where no one wants to be alone with their thoughts anymore. It could be that there are just so many demands. I remember when I started out in an adult and pastoring and doing the things that I was doing, there were no cell phones, there were no GPSs, there was barely internet, and it certainly wasn't as prevalent as it is today. we were busy then, but there were times when you were away from some of the noise and clamor of this world. I think some of the sense of being stuck is you might just need to pull back from some of those things. You know, you don't have to have all the pinging and dinging for all the notifications for Facebook and Twitter and email. Some of that just leads us to not being able to process all that we're doing and to take care of all the things that need to be. And so it might be just good for you to unplug a little bit. Now, especially in the area of work or things that we know we need to do, sometimes you get the feeling of stuck because you are facing something uncomfortable, some decision you need to make, some conversation you need to have. And we find all sorts of ways to procrastinate and put it off and to not attend to it. And I have found, and I would suggest it to you, that one of the ways to get unstuck is go ahead and do something uncomfortable. As some folks say, go ahead and swallow the frog. It's not going to get any prettier the longer you look at it. All of us have something difficult that we need to do right now. Most everyone listening to this knows that there's an unpleasant conversation that needs to be had. And we're procrastinating because it makes us uncomfortable. And therefore it gives us the feeling that we're just sort of stuck where we are and there's nothing we can do. If you're going to be a leader, if you're going to make it in this world, you're going to have to get comfortable with discomfort. You're going to have to get comfortable with being stretched and being moved in ways that sometimes you don't like. And I think one of the greatest ways to get unstuck is just force yourself right now, today, to do something you know that needs to be done, but it's uncomfortable. If you're in the sales world, make those sales calls. If you're a pastor, you do that uncomfortable thing, that conversation that you need to have. Whatever it is, you just need to push through it sometimes. And the feeling of stuck is just, I'm paralyzed by inactivity. I don't want to move ahead because I don't know how this is going to turn out. Everyone in their life has to deal with discomfort and doing hard things and doing the uncomfortable. One of the greatest ways to get unstuck is just go right ahead today. Don't go to bed tonight until you do that uncomfortable thing that you need to do. Oftentimes when I feel like I'm making very little progress, and this will lead me to the fifth thing that I want to say, a fifth way, a hack, if you will, to get unstuck, is I use a bullet journal for a few things in my life. And I track progress. At the beginning of the year, I decided here's how much time I needed to give to cardiovascular exercise. And I didn't go with this is how much weight I want to lose, this is how healthy I want to get. I'd heard someone say, if you need to do this, this is how much you need to do. And at times if I'm thinking, I wonder if I'm making any progress, I can look back in my bullet journal and I keep track every day. Here's what I've done. I've read the Bible today. I mean, I just keep those. And so when you feel like, I don't think I've done very much this year, this week, this month. I don't think I'm making much progress. If you keep a place where you keep track, you can say, because all of us have days where we feel ineffective and inefficient and not much good has really happened. That's why you need to keep be a little bit of a record keeper, that you can go back and say, do you realize I've exercised this amount of time? I've read this much material. I've worked on this many projects. I've saved this much money. I've paid off this much debt. I've gotten stronger, healthier, whatever it is. I've gone on a date every week with my spouse, whatever it is. Track it. It'll help you when you get stuck and made to feel that you're not really accomplishing much. You will be really surprised at the end of the year, month, week, how much you've gotten done. Now, the sixth one is like one I've already mentioned, but one way to get unstuck is to make a decision. Now, I've already said that there could be uncomfortable conversations you need to have, and that could be at your family, that could be at work, that could be in a host of places. I'm also imagining that the majority of people who are listening to me, you also have some pending decisions that need to be made. You're not going to get healthy until you make a decision. You're not going to get out of debt till you make a decision. You're not going to be the spiritual person you need to be until you commit and make a decision. And oftentimes, people feel stuck. It's because they're unwilling to take that step and make the decision that they need to make today about whatever the situation or circumstance is. You might try it. I think it's a great way to get unstuck is go ahead, make the decision. The seventh one is, I think when you're feeling unstuck, doing the opposite really helps. And that is that I have found that to be a wonderful time in my life to recommit to my values, my goals. As I write in my journal, I'm just saying, regardless of how I feel today, regardless of how I may even feel things are unraveling, or I'm not making much of a difference, or I'm not making much headway, but regardless of how I feel, and regardless of what circumstance I find myself in at this present moment, I am recommitting to my values. I'm recommitting to my goals. I'm recommitting to the purposes that God has given to me. And I am going to make a difference. And so you just re-up, as it were. You sign up again to say, if I had to do all over again, I'd do it all over again. Just that action at times has helped me to move past the feeling of being stuck. The eighth thing that I want to ask you or share with you in regarding that feeling that we all get from time to time to be being stuck is ask yourself this very important question. Are you stuck or are you overwhelmed? I'm finding in the world that we live in, myself included, there are times when I feel like I'm stuck, but in reality, I'm overwhelmed. Here's what I think you need to do. You need to push yourself away from the desk, push yourself away from the wherever it is, and you just need to take stock. Maybe you are overcommitted. You're going to have to learn that you can't say yes to everything. Some things you have to say no to. Find a way to offload some things that are unnecessary in your life if you're feeling overwhelmed. If you're feeling overwhelmed, I'm actually going to add another one and call these 10 items, and I lead to that one naturally. Some of us are stuck because we're physically exhausted, and we need some physical exercise. We need to go for a walk, a bike ride, go to the gym. We need to exert some physical effort and activity. I have found that as important as physical activity is for the body, for me, it helps me emotionally and mentally. It clears my mind. It helps to keep my emotions on an even keel, because most of us have a lot to do and we can feel overwhelmed. And so a lot of times it's hard for me to differentiate, do I feel stuck or am I just overwhelmed? And sometimes you just need to go and take a nap. Sometimes you just need to take the rest of the day off and go out and do something. Now, I know there aren't any of you out there listening or watching that I'm your boss, but let me give you permission. Take the rest of the day off. Go take care of yourself. We need you. We need you engaged. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, that's a wonderful sign that you need to do something else. And you'll come back to the task at hand more invigorated and ready to really make a difference. So just ask yourself today, am I really just stuck in life, or am I feeling a little bit overwhelmed? And if it's overwhelmed, just close the book of today and go do something totally different than what you're doing. Let me lead you with the last one, which is the 10th one. This is one that I have told you on more than one occasion. I did not follow this throughout the early days of my adult life. It's something I've come to recently, and that's why I think you need some accountability partners. Depending on what world you live on, they're groups or a person or mastermind group, whatever you want to call it, colleagues. My accountability partners, which are really two right now, and they live in different parts of the country. They are not involved in the same kind of endeavors that I'm involved in. And I did not know them till we met online and became accountability partners for each other. And even though I don't know exactly what each one does, I mean, I know what they do. I have never done what they do. We still tell each other our goals, our plans for the week, what we're going to do. And every Saturday morning, we will talk on the telephone and we hold each other accountable. How did you do? How did you not do? Where did you fall short? And oftentimes they've given me great advice. I don't know if I've given them great advice, but I have lots of advice. But I have found that it keeps me on track throughout the week, knowing on Saturday morning, I'm going to have to share with both Vince and Abram where I am in life. And did I keep what I said I was, did I keep the commitments that I said that I was going to? So I ask you, my friends, if you're feeling stuck, take some time for solitude. One of the first things you need to do is just ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? It may be a good time for you to take a little bit of time and unplug from technology. It also is a time to really do some soul searching. It may be nothing more than the fact that you need to do something uncomfortable. You know what it is you need. You know the conversation you need to have. You just need to go and have that. It's also a wonderful time to look back, especially if you have a bullet journal or some mechanism in place where you're keeping track of things that you're doing. And when it feels like you're not making progress, you look back at that and say, boy, in the last week, month, year, I have put the work in. I am making progress. Many times we feel overwhelmed or stuck because we know there's a decision. It's sort of pending. We know we have to do it. We know it needs to be done. We don't want to do it. The best thing you could do today is go ahead and make that decision. Also, times of being stuck is a great time for me to just recommit myself to my values and my goals. Ask yourself today, are you really stuck or are you just overwhelmed? And if you're overwhelmed, give yourself a time out. Get away with your family. Get away, get some rest, take care of yourself. Participate in physical activity. It will be a marvelous stress reliever. And find an accountability partner, group, or partners. You've been listening to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, words on leadership, goal setting, productivity, and a whole lot more. I trust that today it's been like a vitamin or a mineral or a supplement for your heart and your mind. And wherever you receive and listen to podcasts, would you please subscribe to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom and leave a rating and a brief written review? And if you're stuck today, my friend, do your best to get unstuck. And remember, leader, you're doing better than you think you are. Until next time, this is Dr. Ron saying have a great and blessed day.